Hey guys, welcome back to our place for another video. Today is just going to be a quick use it up Saturday. We're going to jump in, we're going to have a look at what is in the fridge, the freezer, the pantry, and we're going to make sure that we're getting the most bang for our buck by using up all of the groceries that we purchase. Alright, so everybody knows groceries at the moment, they've definitely gone up in price, but if we wind the clock back a little bit, before all of this began, with all of this inflation and everything that's happening at the moment, which I know is driving everybody crazy, many moons ago, when we started our debt-free journey, one of the easiest areas for us to actually rein in and save some money so we had extra cash to put towards our debt repayments was actually in the grocery department. We were spending quite a bit of money on food, but we weren't always utilizing that to our best advantage. So one of the things that we did to help rein in our grocery budget was to simply start shopping from our fridge, our pantry, and our freezer before we went to the supermarket. And we were making sure that we were using up everything that we had already purchased before we went and bought more. I know that that sounds like a really simple concept when you hear it, but in practicality, we just weren't doing it on a regular basis. And probably, to be totally honest, we weren't doing it really that much at all. And it's surprising how many people that I talk to, although we all understand this concept, we don't always put it into practice. So what I would encourage you guys to do is simply start the habit of once a week, doesn't matter what day it is. Works really well if you do it before you go grocery shopping, but just pick a day where you have half an hour and you can sit down with a piece of paper and go through your fridge, your freezer, and your pantry and make sure that you are using everything up. So we're going to put this into 3 phases. It's really simple, but do it every single week, and I guarantee you're going to start saving money because, first of all, you're going to use everything that you've already bought. I mean, if we have stuff that goes off in the fridge and we have to throw it out, that's wasted money. If we buy ingredients and they just sit in our pantry, again, it's wasted money because we've spent it, we've outlaid that cost, but we're not getting the most bang for our buck out of it. We're not utilizing it. Same thing goes for our freezer as well. So the challenge is once a week to sit down and we're going to write a hit list. All of those things that we 100% want to use up, and we want to use them before they go bad, before they go out of date, before they're no good. And if they're just lurking around in the back of our pantry, even if they've got a bit of date on them anyways, hey, you're on the hit list too. We want to use those up. So that's the first thing. The second way that this really helps us to save money is if we can see and identify these ingredients and perhaps come up with a meal that's one less meal that we need to think about purchase when we go back to the supermarket. So it's twofold. All right. Anyways, the basic plan of attack is we're going to go through the fridge. We're going to write down all of the things that need to be used up first before they go bad. They are number 1 on our hit list. And the second thing we're going to go and look for is we're going to look in the freezer and the pantry, and we're going to look for those things that have been lurking around for a little bit too long. They're still in date, they've still got a bit of date on them, but the goal is to pick at least 3 things, and 3 makes it nice and easy. 3 things that we are going to use up this week, regardless. They have to get used up first. If you guys can do that every week, I guarantee you're going to start saving some money, and you're definitely going to start using up all the things that you have in your fridge, freezer, and your pantry. All right, let's get started. Let's jump in. Let's start with the fridge. Alrighty, so I'm going to jump in and have a bit of a look. We already have some things in some containers, so that's always a really good start because I know that I have some stuff that's prepped and ready to go. But this is what we really want to look at, is this fresh stuff down here that we know that we need to use up. So an iceberg lettuce, that's gonna last for a little bit longer. I do have a marked down zucchini, definitely need to use that up. And we've got a couple of mushrooms there as well that need using. So we're going to go pop these on our list. Right, our other drawer is our fruit drawer, so I'm not too concerned about that. We've got 2 bananas and we've got a few apples. We'll definitely use those up over the next couple of days, so that's all good. Just making sure there isn't anything else sneaky in there. Nope, all fruit. All right, next up we're going to just jot down what's in all of these containers. So this is curry. I made a double batch last night, so there is a whole another meal left in here. That's awesome. I just need to cook some rice to go with that. All right, also in our little containers, this one is leftover chili, so there's probably maybe 2 serves left in that one. Put that on the list too. Alrighty, and that is some more curry. So we've actually got heaps of curry. Probably got more like 4 serves of curry. And I do have a little bit of leftover rice, but it's probably only 2 serves there. 2 leftover pancakes. So that'll be a snack for somebody. Somebody can eat that today, I think. And while I'm here, I do have some cucumber, 2 strawberries, and a quarter of an avocado that probably need to use up today as well. Alrighty, up the top, just a couple of wraps. Oh, a tiny little bit of salad left. There's maybe 1 serve of salad left. It'd be good to get that big container out. And we got here, that is 2 serves of a pesto pasta. Alright, so we've actually got quite a few ready-made meals that are ready to go. Next thing I want to do is just go through and check all of the use by dates on my bits and pieces. Now, I know that I only just bought these a couple of weeks ago, so they're good, but it is a good thing to go through and just double check all the time. Alright, so now that we've stopped the fridge beeping, I will just jot down. Alright, we've got a couple of things of tofu. Now, again, these have got until the 9th of October on them. So I do have a little bit of time up my sleeve, but you know what? October is going to run around before we even know it. These ones are November, and these should all be the same because they are from the same batch. And whoops, a little bit of cheese there as well. All right, I'm just going to pop these down on my list. And I do have these guys as well, some little vegetable koftas there that are used by the 1st of October. So they're going to go on my list as well, because I know that I need to use those up. Right, the other thing that I would encourage you guys to look at is all of your condiments and jars and bits and pieces, and just making sure that you're using all of that stuff up as well, because if you guys are like us, I don't know, they seem to multiply in the fridge. And just seeing if there's any small containers or things that are almost done. I like to try and put those on my hit list as well, just to make sure that we use those up. If you're wondering, we live in a caravan, so anything that is glass usually gets some padding around it. So that's the story behind the old socks. Anyways, so I do have some sauerkraut there. These are some pickles. This is ginger. And then we've got all the sauces. So we will probably try and start using up some of these sauces, just making sure. Okay, so like this one, which is just about done, Perinaise mayonnaise. I think we'll try and get rid of that this week, and get it done and out of the fridge. So always good to just go through and just check, particularly stuff that gets pushed to the back, because you can't always see it. Just make sure that it's still in date and it's being used. These are sandwich pickles. Yeah, so pick something, put it on your hit list. And this is my little potato cupboard. So I do have a whole sweet potato in there that I need to use up, and I've got 1, 2, whoops, so you can see 1, 2, 3 little white potatoes in there. that I also need to use up. Alrighty, and this is our pantry situation. So I'm not going to pull everything out and write everything down that's in here, because I do have a master list and I do have a bit of an idea of generally what we have on stock. So I'm just sort of quickly showing you guys. But what I am on the hunt for in the pantry is things that I know that have actually been in there for quite a while, that I haven't replaced in a while, that I just want to use because I'm not using them, or things that are almost finished. So I just sort of want to finish them off, and then I can put them on my shopping list and repurchase them if they are something that we use quite a bit. So for example, I've had these two things in the pantry for a while because I think I've got, I'll have to open them and check, but I've got like 2 spring roll wrappers left in here and 1 or 2 sheets of nori. So it's not enough to do a meal for all of us. And they're not something that I do all the time, but I've kind of just got these sort of dregs, these leftovers. So these are the sorts of things I'm going to put down on my list, because I want to make an effort to find a way to use these up, even though there isn't a lot of them left. Use them up, get them out of my pantry. I can consider whether or not that's something that I want to purchase again in the future, but at the moment they're taking up space. They're half used and they're just sitting there sort of, they're a bit of a waste of money really, because I didn't use it all up. So these guys are going on my list. And here is another one. So I do remember buying these. They were on clearance when I bought them. So they were $1.80. I figured it would be a good idea to have some dried fruit. I could chuck it in some things that I was baking, you know, maybe chuck it in some overnight oats. I don't know. But anyways, look, it's been sitting in my pantry. It's not even opened. So we're going to try and do some things with some dried figs, I think, this week. I don't know exactly what. But again, I'm going to put this on the list and I'm going to jump on Google and I'm just going to have a look for some ideas, because this is what I find happens, particularly with, if you guys saw our pantry, they're deep, they're skinny but really deep, so things get pushed to the back and kind of forgotten about because they're not in front of our eyes, front of mind, and we're thinking about using them. So it's easy for these sorts of things to get forgotten. Now our situation is a little bit different. Being in the caravan, we've got these long skinny pantries, and so it's easy for things to get pushed right to the back. And honestly, our pantries are as long as my arm. I have to stick my arm up to my elbow, not my elbow, my armpit, all the way just to get things from the back. It's quite ridiculous, really. But even in a regular house, it's easy for things to get pushed to the back of your pantry, pushed behind other things, maybe a little bit out of order. Maybe this ends up in with something completely unrelated. It's not with the rest of your dried fruit, or however you organize your pantry, and they just get forgotten. So these are the things that we're sort of also going to go and look for as well, because they need to be used up. Once again, don't overwhelm yourself. If you have more than 3 items, it's okay to go and maybe write a list, get your hit list happening, but just pick 3 that you want to make an effort to use up this week or start using up. And if you do more than 3, that's awesome, but at least you've got 3 that are used, and the rest of them you just don't have to do as much legwork for next week when you sit down to do your use it up hit list. The other thing that I like to do as I'm going through my pantry is I do like to look for things that are already open, even though I use them quite regularly, and just make sure that I do use these things up before I go and open something that is new. So let's talk about pasta as an example. I have quite a few packets of different types of pasta in the pantry, but what I probably want to do is go and use up the things that are already open. Like I've got couscous open, and we haven't had it for a little while, so I probably want to do something with couscous this week because this packet is open, rather than going and open another packet and having, say, you know, penne or spirals or, like, you know, whatever. Using up the things that are already open rather than opening a new packet of something. Same but different. So although yes, couscous and penne, yes, they're different types of pasta, different types of recipes, there's still a pasta, so I want to use that up. I've also got half a packet of rice noodles, same boat. I want to be using this up, the rice noodle packet that's already open, before I go and open, say, a packet of Singapore noodles or something like that. So I'm going to pop those things down on the list. And the other thing that I will just make mention of is just anything that you have that you've bought that you're just not using. So for me, it's not a problem so much anymore because I've got quite good at making sure that I'm using up ingredients, like tinned ingredients. This is just an example. I just grabbed the lentils because they were in front. But I used to end up with lots of ingredients that I wasn't using. So even though they're still good and they're still in date, I think about when you purchased it and whether or not you're actually using these ingredients on a regular basis. If you bought it more than 4 weeks ago, put it on your hit list for this week. Not that I bought these lentils more than 4 weeks ago, but you understand what I'm saying. Making sure that we are just rotating through that stockpile and using up the things that we're buying. So if you pull something out and you look at it and you think, oh, I don't actually remember when I bought that, put it on your hit list. So basically everything that I just said about the pantry goes for your freezer as well. So we're going to have a look at the things that are open, see what needs to be used up before we open other things that are in the same sort of category. I like to go through and have a look and see. So I've got some onion and some celery right down there at the back, which obviously I picked these things up when they were cheap and I've put them in the freezer for a later date. I want to make sure that I'm using them. I want to make sure that I'm using up things like, this is some homemade stock, so making sure I'm rotating through that stuff, using that all up, and then just having a quick stockpile of the veggies that I do have and seeing what needs to be used, and then just finding if there's anything that perhaps I've opened a while ago and haven't finished it off. We're going to put those on the hit list for this week and make sure that we're just using them up so that they're not ending up freezer burnt, and then again they're no good because they've stayed in the freezer for too long. So I'm going to quickly go through the stuff that we've got in here and just make a bit of a list, make sure that we are using those things up. Don't forget those sneaky little places that end up like a bit of a dumping ground. I don't know if you guys have those as well, but we tend to end up with, so that's one not burger left over. There's 3 of us, one not burger. Doesn't really work too well, but I just need to find a way to use that guy up that doesn't involve all of us having a burger, because obviously one split 3 ways isn't a lot of fun, but there'll be another way for me to use it up. So this becomes our little dumping zone where things tend to get hidden and forgotten about because they get popped in here. We're going to come back and use it and it doesn't end up happening. So we just got to make sure we're staying on top of that. I've got some packets of yeast there that, you know what, realistically I've probably had those for a little while, and I have this which is opened, so maybe I need to use those up. Maybe I need to try and make some bread. Who knows? All right, we'll pop these down on the list as well. So the last place to go and have a look, well, for me anyways, I don't know if you guys end up with this problem. Let me know in the comment if your spice rack gets a little bit out of control, because mine certainly does. I really like spices. I tend to buy lots of new and interesting and different packets of things, and I don't always use them up. I also have a habit of maybe hoarding things as well, so definitely something to go and have a look at. So I ended up with some HelloFresh spice packets from somebody who couldn't eat them because they had onion and garlic in them, or they didn't know what the ingredients were, and it possibly could have had onion and garlic in them. That isn't a problem for me, so I was more than happy to have some little spice packets given to us, but I do need to use them. So these guys tend to end up just sitting in my pantry and not using them, so I'm going to make an effort to start using these up at least one a week until they're gone. I've also been carting this one around for a little while as well, and it needs to be used up. We definitely won't look at the best before date on that one. It's still good. It's a packet of seasoning. It'll be fine. But I also know that this has been in the pantry for longer than I would like to admit, so it needs to go on the hit list as well, and we need to use that up this week. So I said earlier, one of the biggest problems with some of these things is they become out of sight, out of mind, which is why we sort of forget about them, or they're a little bit awkward and difficult to use. So we have to think outside the box to use them up. So one of the things that I really recommend is don't put them back where they came from, because then they're going to be out of sight, out of mind again. Yes, they're on your list, but if you put them back where they came from, at the back of the pantry, they're just going to stay there for another week. So what I would recommend doing, and this tip comes from Debt Free Aussie Girl, I think was where I saw it. She has a container that she actually leaves out somewhere where she can see, somewhere out of the way, but somewhere where she can see every day. And she just puts her things in there that she wants to use up this week. So I've picked 3 things, because remember, that was the goal. Just use 3 things up this week. If I use them all up today, I might pick another 3 things and put them in my container. But this is our use it up container that I'm just going to sit out where I can see it, so that I make sure that I use these things up. Partly it's because it's front of mind, because I can see them. Also, being in a caravan, we don't have a lot of room, so I don't like to have things sitting out. I'm going to want to use them up because they're a bit of an inconvenience sitting in a container like this. But these are the 3 things that I've picked. My goal now is just to have a look at the ingredients that I already have, see what I can come up with where I can use these ingredients and not have to go and buy more things. It would be great to not have to go to the shops and buy extra stuff just to use this stuff up. But I am going to jump online as well and just see what ideas I can come up with. Google is amazing. It is your friend. It's amazing what you can just put in and how many different ideas can come up with something as simple as, you know, diced figs, dried figs. How can I use them up? I will come up with something and find a way to use these up, and hopefully by next weekend these guys are gone. They definitely will be, because this is going to annoy me having this sitting out on my bench. There's my container, which is going to annoy me on the bench, but this is why it works, because it's out and I can see it, and it's a little bit inconvenient, so definitely recommend that. And then this is my hit list. Pretty straightforward and simple. It's taken me all of, I don't know, 15 minutes realistically to sit down and do this. So now I've got a list. I have some things that are just ready to go, so I know that I have some meals already organized for this week. I'm going to sit down and work out what I can come up with to cook, to use up the things that I already have. Really focusing on using up our fresh produce first, so that doesn't go bad. Just noting down, I really want to use the smoked tofu before I use the other 2. So I do have put the date in these. I know that these run out in October. I've got until November on this one, but I need to use those up before they go out of date. I do have some salad stuff there, but I feel like I'm probably going to have salad for lunch, so they're going to go. And then these are our weird bits and pieces that we need to use up. I've got a knot burger. Don't know what I'm going to do with that. I have our nori and our rice paper. I've got that lamb casserole, and I have those HelloFresh spices. And like I said, I've already picked 3 out that I want to try and use up first, get them done, and then we'll see what happens with the rest of the list. All right, so my last tip is when it comes to your meal planning, just keep it really simple. So I'm sure you guys are wondering what I've come up with and what I'm going to do. And again, it's nothing flash, you know, I'm just a mum cooking some food for a family, and I'm going to eat it. I'm not a food blogger or anything like that. So I don't do super fancy. What I do is practical. So basically I have a lamb casserole seasoning mix that needs to be used up. So I'm going to do a shepherd's pie with this as a flavoring. So I'm going to use the mushrooms, I'm going to throw in the zucchini, I'll probably throw in some of that frozen onion that was in the freezer, and some celery, a tin of lentils. I'm going to just make a chunky stew I'm going to throw this in and flavour it. And then I've got a sweet potato and 3 white potatoes. I'm going to cook them, mash them all together, and that's going to be our topping. So I'm using up pretty much all of those veggies in one meal. I'm not overcomplicating it. My goal is to use them and create food that my family is going to eat, not get super fancy. So that's number one. I'm going to do that today, and that's going to be done. Easy. All right, second thing on my hit list are these rice paper rolls. I've got 2, which is kind of useless when you have a family of 3, but I need to have lunch today. I've got some leftover salad stuff, and I'm literally just going to put the leftover salad stuff, because there isn't a lot of salad stuff. I'm just going to wrap them in rice paper rolls, and I'm going to have 2 rice paper rolls for lunch today for me. That's going to use up not only my rice paper rolls, but that little bit of salad mix that was still in there, the quarter of an avocado that was in there. I will use up some of the cucumber. I'm going to have lunch, and then I know that there are leftovers in all of those containers, so Shan and Charlotte can have some leftovers for lunch, and boom, lunch is done. Like I said, I'm keeping it really simple, not overcomplicating this. All right, my last thing is my figs. And again, what I will probably do is just make some snacks. I am going to do some either pancakes or muffins. Either way, it's almost the exact same recipe for me. I keep it pretty simple, and I'm going to throw some of these in. It's not going to use up the entire package, so I'm going to have to sort of think outside the box. But I tell you what I was thinking, which I need to keep looking into, but I reckon some figs and some couscous. Maybe you need to find a few other ingredients. I've definitely come up with something, but I'm going to do a bit of a fancy lunch. It'll probably just be me that has this, because I don't imagine that Shannon and Charlotte are going to be terribly excited about this, because this really is going to be a make it up as you go type thing. But figs, couscous, maybe some walnuts, and a few other things, a few other veggies in there. I'm not sure exactly what's going to go, but something along these lines, and that'll be another lunch for me. And there's 1, 2, 3 on my hit list, done. And that's going to be today and tomorrow, and those 3 things, are going to be pretty much all used up. So there you go. That's how easy it is. Well, there you go, guys. Use it up. Pretty much got that under control, and within the next couple of days I will have used up those fresh ingredients in my fridge that I need to make sure don't go bad. I've picked a couple of things from the pantry and the freezer that I want to use up, and I've got them gone as well. And again, it took me literally 15 minutes to go through the fridge, freezer and the pantry, find a couple of things that definitely need to be used up, put them on my hit list, jump on Google, come up with some ideas, come up with just a couple of meals, again, because I'm not trying to do a whole week. I'm not trying to overcomplicate this. I just want to make sure that I'm using up those things that are lurking around in the fridge, freezer and the pantry, getting the most bang for my buck when it comes to my grocery shopping, and just not having things go to waste. That is the goal. Keep it simple, write a hit list, and make sure you use them up first. And there you go, easy as. Well, that is it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed spending a little bit of time here with me today, seeing how it all works behind the scenes, just making sure that we are staying on top of our groceries and using up everything that we buy. Basically, I hope you found a couple of useful tips in today's video. If you did, as always, if you enjoyed today's video, if you could please give me a thumbs up, I really do appreciate it. It lets me know the kind of content you guys are enjoying and what you would like to see more of. And as always, if you would like to see more stuff like this and you haven't already subscribed, now would be a great time to go and hit that little subscribe button down below. It is the best way to stay up to date with everything that's happening in our place. And if you hit that little bell, you will get notifications too when my new videos come out. Well, I hope you guys are having a fantastic week. I hope you guys who've watched today's video, oh sorry, I'm getting a bit pointy with my pencil, but that's how excited I am about using it up. I hope you guys now go take 15 minutes, take a pen, pencil, take a bit of paper, go and write down your hit list, and go and use some stuff up. That would be super awesome. If you do, let me know in the comments. Let me know what 3 things are on your hit list and what you're going to use up this week. Be super awesome to hear from you guys, and I hope you guys have a fantastic week, and I hope to catch you in the next video. Until then, take care, my friends. Bye.